Okay, what's up? It's Saturday, something in February. I forget the date. Maybe the 11th. I think it's the 11th. But I want to talk about calendars. Here's my basic thing. So first off, let's start with the week. We've got Monday to Sunday, or actually, let's say Sunday all the way through to Saturday. 7 days, obviously. First thing I want to establish: the days don't mean anything in terms of the universe. There's no fundamental difference between a Monday and a Wednesday. It's just social, okay? Well, obviously, right? So this is just, but it makes sense that we have a 7 day cycle. Maybe 7 days is good. 5 days of work, 2 days of break for a lot of people. That's a common system, I guess, in Western society or in all of society. I don't know. Um, Maybe 7 days is a logical amount. I think maybe it's about a quarter of a month, which is how long the moon takes to orbit the Earth, and that's sort of the moon phases of the moon. Um, but I'll get onto that later. So they don't really mean anything, but my basic proposal is every year should start with the same day. It makes no sense that we keep this 7 day cycle and we let it cross the year. So you buy a calendar or a diary and it's completely redundant the next year. Here's my basic proposal. Every year should start with, for example, Sunday. Just because people, maybe it's a biblical day of rest or whatever. A lot of people seem to think it's the first day of the week, as if that means anything. The first day of the week. It's a kind of continuous cycle. It's like you got a circle. Where does the circle start? It starts at the top. What if we look at it on the side? Anyway, it's a cycle. There's no... Anyway, every year should start with Sunday, right? Now, if you think about it, there's 365 days in a year. Obviously, leap years, we add a day. I'll get into that later. But 365, if you divide it by 7, you get 52 with one remainder. There's 1 day left over, so it's not perfect. For that reason, it would make sense to pick a number that goes into 365. Let me think. 7, okay, 7 doesn't go into it. 5, well, actually, it doesn't matter that much because you're going to have leap years every now and then anyway. So you're never going to have something will perfectly go into 365, but then it's not going to go into 366. So it's not worth worrying too much about. But because of that, my system would mean December 30th would be a Saturday, and then December 31st would be a Sunday again. So the only weakness of my system is that the first day of the next year would be a Sunday again. You'd have 2 Sundays next to each other. But I'll come back to that later. The advantages here, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, in Australia, the Queen's birthday, any holidays are always going to happen on the exact same day of the week, the exact same date. Any group that meets the first Sunday of every month, it's not going to be as haphazard. Every year it'll be the same. If you teach at school, like I teach at school, school starts on the same date every year. We can have the same exact system every year. We don't have to keep shifting it around because the calendar's all messed up. It blows my mind that we actually use this system. Once I thought of it, I was like, why doesn't the week is arbitrary. Just start every year with the same day and every date will be the same. So next thing is February 29th. There's no longer the leap day, whatever. If there's a leap year, stick the extra day at the end of the year. So it's December 32nd. That would make way more sense. I can predict, by the way, a lot of people will be like, what? This is ridiculous. This is stupid. I can't even, just because it's different from what they're used to, but I'll come back to that in a second. By putting the leap day at the end of the year, it's not affecting the dates. So things, obviously this is once we put it into place, which I seriously think we should put it into place as soon as possible. Let's say next year, 2018, start with a Sunday. I don't care what day it is, start with a Sunday and then that's it. Things like your birthday will always be on the same date. Any historical dates after that, people will get used to dates, to what, the 5th of March is always a Tuesday or whatever. Christmas is always a Monday, I think, in this system. You won't have to keep adjusting and buy new calendars and diaries. So I hope it sort of makes sense, the advantages. I want to give some analogies because I think some people would be like, some reasons I can think of, or I mentioned it to my brother. He gave some reasons that I don't think they're quite really valid. Like, so people might have a personal just preference. They don't, people might like the variety that each year things fall on a different day. I don't think there's a logical reasons because I think simplicity is always just better. It's better to not have that complexity. Because if you want variety, I mean, you could just have random days. You could have some years have 8 days a week, some years have 5 days per week. You know, you could have so many different other things. I'm trying to make it simpler and more logical, and to prevent these complexities. And I think simplicity is underrated, or people don't realize how important it is. Because anything that's simple, we tend not to think about. We take it for granted as it just works so easily and simply. There's no frivolous extra stuff. Like, I don't know, like saying yes and no, they have simple meanings. If it was complicated and we had, you know, all these other words that were in between, like, or I don't know, it's good to just yes means, yep, I'll do it, yeah. No means, no, don't want to do it, or whatever. So analogies from history would be the Roman numerals getting, you know, overruled by Arabic numerals, which I think are actually Indian, but we encountered them, Western society encountered the Arabics who were using them, so they thought they were Arabic, something like that. They're way better. The decimal system is infinitely, or maybe that's technically an exaggeration, but much better than the Roman numerals for adding, subtracting, timesing, dividing. Everything for efficiency, for representing big numbers, but also like scientific notation is another step. That's even better for certain things, for science and engineering, for very large and very small numbers. The metric system is way better than the imperial system. It doesn't matter what your personal preference is. One of them is much better than the other. You can define what you mean by better and measure it. It's more efficient. It's simpler. It's everything becomes easier and more logical with these things. And I think this system's better. I actually want to add onto it as well. It's weird that all the months have different numbers of days in them. So to make it even better, I actually think it makes sense to have 13 months, and each of them are 4 weeks each, exactly 4 weeks, 28 days. Then every month, you can still have January through to December. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed things like October. Oct is usually 8, but it's the 10th month, and then November, or something, nonagon. Things like Nov is like a prefix for 9. December, like, you know, decade or decimal relates to 10, but it's the 12th month. I think there's reasons for that. I'm not saying change all the names, but it's just funny. They don't actually make a lot of sense. So if people are like, oh, we can't change them, then that's kind of a stupid attitude, I think. You know, if we never changed anything, just imagine how many things we'd be stuck with from ages ago. Language, we'd be talking like in Shakespeare plays, or even earlier than that. But yeah, have those 12 months, January to December, have an extra month. I don't care what you call it. And just have them all be 4 weeks. And then you just have at the end of the year, every month can start with Sunday. And that way, the 4th of every single month would always be the same. Let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The 4th of any month would be a Wednesday. 4th of July, oh, that's a Wednesday, the 4th. And people would learn it very quickly. Within a few months, people would know, oh, the 7th, oh, that's always a whatever. And the fact that the 1st is a Sunday would make it always easy. The 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd would always be Sundays. And yeah, for leap years, you just have an extra day at the end. And the thing is that extra day, in the case of the 365, like a normal year, you'd have 13 months and then 1 extra day. For leap years, you'd have 2 extra days. They don't need to have names. They don't need to be Sunday or Monday or whatever. You could just call them extra day 1, extra day 2. I would give them like a fancy biblical holy name, because then people will like it. People will be like, I think people will literally think they're getting extra days, like, because I don't know, just people are kind of stupid sometimes. I've heard some amazing statistics, like Richard Dawkins in a book mentioned like 20% somewhere. What was it? Hang on. They thought that the Earth orbits the Sun once per month. Like, what? They obviously don't understand what causes the seasons and what that has to do with. But anyway, yeah, I'm really firm with this. I'd like to see if anyone has any legitimate reason. The reasons I can think of that people will give it tradition, which is the absence of a reason. It's just, I've been doing it this way my whole life. That's a really good reason not to change something in your life. Someone suggests maybe you should start eating fruit and vegetables. But I've never done that before. I can't change now. That would be admitting that I've been living not as well as I could have, you know. When someone invents a car, people would say, "Oh, you can't have a car. We're used to horses. That this will change everything." It's so, someone invents a machine that saves people from, it's so funny. People complain about the drudgery of repetitive tasks, and then people complain about machines that replace people that are working. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so again, the advantage is every day starts with the same day. Every year starts with the same day of the week. Let's say Sunday, because Sunday is the holy day. Or I don't know, there might be other days that are holy. I don't know. Even make the months 13 months. They're all 4 weeks. Dates will be the same every single year from that point onwards. Of course, dates have been changed before. We even have things like daylight savings time, which is kind of just this weird thing where we arbitrarily change the time. No one complains about that. So if we can do that, we can skip a day. We can have an extra day and let our cycle start again in sync with the year so the dates make sense. There's a reason we have years, because of the seasons, because the earth orbits the sun. We can't prevent that. We can't prevent the fact that there's going to have to be leap years. That's a bit more arbitrary. As long as everyone's in agreement, as long as everyone has the leap year every so often, there's no need to know exactly how many days in a year, like how often we need a leap year. We can always adjust, so that's not an issue. But anyway, yeah, just imagine if you buy a diary, it doesn't even have a year on it. You can use it for every year. You can buy a new one if you want, or you could just, it would make things so much simpler and so much better. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think if you actually watch this. And let me know if you actually have any actual reasons for why the current system is better than that one, and why, if you think, for personal reasons, like why is this system better than any other arbitrary, ridiculous, complicated, colorful, nice system that everyone can get used to. Being used to something is not a reason for it being better. Anyway, okay, bye.